What is going on, guys? Joey here, and today I wanted to break down a question that I got asked about. I get asked this a lot. It's lifters or coaches or wannabe coaches, soon-to-be coaches, aspiring coaches. Hold on, when I say wannabe, I'm not saying it like, oh, you're a wannabe, like they used to say in the 70s to make fun of someone. I'm saying like they literally want to be that. So they're asking me like how to do it. And I gave a pretty lengthy answer to this person, but there are some things in my answer that were interesting. They asked if it would hurt them to not have a powerlifting background to, and then they wanted to start coaching powerlifters. I actually have some experience with this, not me personally, because I did a lot of lifting on my own before I started helping people. And I don't know if you guys know my story, but I was lifting myself. I'd already been a trainer for 7 years at that point, like personal trainer. But I had been competing in things my entire life. And then I did a lot of powerlifting. I was working with the coach, and I was just like learning everything that I could, which I had always been that way since I was like 17. Really, since I started doing anything that I cared about, I would try to learn a lot about it, right? And then, of course, I fell into lifting, and then you combine everything together, you start getting more hyper-focused, and then you really get your process down. And I did develop a lot over the years. I'll say these last like 3 to 5 years, I've been pretty convicted, pretty confident, there's like not a lot of second guessing. Sometimes I might question something here and there, or I might be debating between two approaches, but I'm very confident in the decisions that I make. And that came from just putting in the time in the actual thing of powerlifting. Now, this person, I'm getting the impression that they don't have, like they're doing some powerlifting. They coach a couple people, just maybe like friends, or I'm not really too sure what their situation is. But they just made it seem like they're very interested in coaching, but they just haven't had a lot of meets under the belt. They haven't worked with like a ton of people. And they're asking me my advice and what approach they should take, and do they recommend it, whatever. So I'm going to try to give a bunch of different scenarios and answers. First thing is, anyone that's trying to get into coaching is really, 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 really saturated. That means there's a lot of people trying to do it, and it's not, there's a lot of things that a newer coach has to deal with right now that more established entities probably don't. For example, when you don't have like a long history, like a long reputation, people are going to like flip-flop a lot. They're going to like bounce around, and they might not be as committed. Whereas like, a lot of my people, if you guys watch the video with Ken that I'm about to post, he's been with me 5 years, Russ has been with me 6 years. Mikey's almost 7 years. Jesus, 4 years. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot of my people have been with me for a long, 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 long time. And, it's what happens when you're like established, right? And they don't really move around too much. I would say in the last 2 years, for sure, they haven't really, just like a handful of people here and there. Maybe they fall off for whatever reason, but it's not like, it's not like it was in the early days where, people are, you just had no faith, nothing was secure. People could just leave at any moment. But then once I started to win and win and win and win, and you stack the wins, then people realize, holy shit, this guy's real. I've had people try to come back. There's And that's like hard, right? That's like hard to do, especially because I was already training people. So my job was training people, and those people, you know, they knew to send me people that wanted to do strength, right? Because I worked for a commercial gym at first. People that wanted to get stronger, people that, you know, they had really weak backs, they had weak bodies, and they wanted to improve, you know, so that they could not have pain every time they like got up out of a seat or whatever, you know what I mean? So I could not only like practice, you know, it's not like I'm using these people as dummies, but it's just more people that I'm doing the training with, so I'm learning through that, and I'm getting better at it. And then when an opportunity arose with John Hack, won Worlds, and then that changed my life, right? That was, you know, not everybody's going to be that in that situation. So, you know, it's really saturated. It's kind of hard to break out. Now, I have coaches that work for me that don't, like, they're not really on social media that much. They don't really post that much, but they're really, really, really good coaches, and they have lots of lifters, and they have a nice little community under them. And I kind of, you know, whenever we do something significant, I post about it, and if I feel like somebody that inquires with FLEXX is going to be a good match with them, I'll send them over. So they don't really have to do it. And that's one way that you can kind of get established, is you have to get in with a bigger entity. Granted, they have to have the room for you. You have to be compatible with them. Personalities have to match. There has to be an element of trust there. That's like really complicated. Whatever. And this person was asking me, almost like they're not sure and they're thinking about doing it. Now, going back to when I talked about you don't have a powerlifting background, is that going to hurt you getting into coaching? Well, I think everybody has to start somewhere. And there are a lot of people that there's a lot of different ways you can look at it. There are some times when I've seen a lifter that's more advanced than the coach, but because the lifter has a relationship with the coach, they stick with them, and the coach learns along the way, and that lifter can like elevate them to the level of that lifter over time, which is very interesting, and I say that's pretty rare. I've also seen the opposite, where you have a coach that's like way overqualified and they're working with like a super beginner, and that beginner could probably work with anyone, right? And they'll do just fine. And there's oftentimes people that get into coaching who are not like super qualified, but they know enough to work with the beginners. And I think those people are important too. And we've had situations where somebody works with a newer coach. They don't really want to coach at the world level. They don't really want to go all the way, but they do like coaching local meets, and they have like a full-time job, or maybe they do something else. And then they develop that lifter, and once that lifter gets more serious, they go, hey, I want to graduate to a more advanced coach. And there's nothing wrong with that if the goals of the coach and where the coach wants to go is not the same as where the lifter wants to go, in my opinion. Like if the goals aren't, if you guys aren't on the same page, you know, like how is a coach who is like, yeah, I don't really care about, you know, going all the way. Like, you don't need to do all that. Just do your local meets, whatever. It's just powerlifting, not that serious. No, but you take it real serious. You know, you have goals in this. And, you know, I could totally see there's a mismatch there, right? So, like, finding, like, the right person for you is, like, important. But going back to, if you don't have a lot of powerlifting background, how's it going to work out? Well, take my brother, for example. He had been coaching football for a long time, and I grew up playing football. And I know, like, honestly, the lessons that you learn from playing American football, because we have some international listeners, is going to be, like, way more valuable than the stuff you learn from lifting. I mean, it's similar, but it's also different, and it's, like, harder for sure. And I knew, I've watched my brother coach people, and I knew that if I put him with, you know, if I put him in the right position, he could really develop and teach him the programming, teach him how to do certain things, put him in situations where he can be stressed in a way that would allow him to grow as a coach, that he could take all those amazing lessons that he learned from football that he's teaching these young high school kids, that's, you know, lessons that are literally going to stay with them the rest of their life, and integrate that with powerlifting and really make something special. And I think that's really powerful. And I mean, we've seen, you know, Austin Nikolai, Asante Gordon, you guys saw the videos. He built these guys up, you know, and those are just two names. He had lots of guys at primetime, lots of people in primetime. So it is possible. And I think, you know, now I think it's been like 4 years, completely different. I have the utmost confidence in him, and, you know, it makes me happy that I'm able to put him in a position where he can sort of grow his community of lifters, and he does great. He really does do good. I think all the coaches, you know, I told Will this, like, I think we're at Sheffield. I don't remember. It was around March. I said, you know, you guys have created, you know, obviously through FLEXX, your little like communities. Like Will has his guys, Isaac has his guys, Grant has his guys. You know, you create these little communities that are compatible with that coach, and it's a really powerful thing. And I mean, most of my guys are all powerlifters, right? I mean, I've known about Will for like 9 years, 2014. And that's part of the reason why I was like, you know what, this guy's really passionate about it. He's stuck around for a really long time. I think he can, you know, provide value to people. I think he'd be solid. So I don't think, like I said, everybody has to start somewhere. And I mean, of course, at some point, you're not going to have a powerlifting background. But you have to understand that like there's different levels, and you want to, you know, you want to work with people that are going to be around your level, or you want to typically be above their level, and you can help them and guide them. And you will develop a lot as a teacher, coach, mentor, whatever you end up becoming. And I just think, although things are very saturated, and we do see people come and go, typically what happens is, and I, you know, just over the last decade, just like seeing these things on the internet, you'll see like people post about coaching. They don't really have receipts. They don't really have anything that they've done. They've never accomplished anything. They've never built anybody up, but they keep posting about it. It's going to be very hard to do anything if you're not doing anything. You know what I mean? It's really, really, really tough. I'm not trying to like shit on people or kick them down. I'm just saying, you know, it's very, 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 very tough. And I think it starts out in the trenches. It starts out small. It starts out, go to as many local meets as you can, handle as many people as you can, get that experience. If you have something of value, right? And I'll go back to Chris. He had something of value. He had something about him and the way that he coached football players that I looked at and I said, powerlifting aside, this is fucking valuable. This is special. And this is going to stay with these young men and women for the rest of their lives. It's really going to help them develop into something amazing. If you have that, you have the thing that's hard to teach. You have the thing that is special, that is unique, that stands out, that you can gift to somebody else. And if you have that, great. Now, all you have to do is get the experience that you need to turn it, to combine it with powerlifting. Now, you need to get that powerlifting experience. I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to have to put that time in, right? I mean, I've seen some coaches that seem promising and they're just starting out. And I would like to think that they would stick with it. Maybe they have like 10, 15, 20 clients, whatever. But then they fall off for whatever reason, or they get discouraged, or they start like not believing, like, man, can I really do this? Whatever, this and that. I think, you know, those early days are definitely tough, but like once you get past that, And each experience that you have, it helps you sort of reestablish yourself for the next challenge, the next experience. And I mean, me personally, I always tried to, the things that excite me are like the limit, like what is the limit and can we push through it? You know what I mean? So like, what is the highest level of XYZ? That's why I'd always been fascinated with world championships. That's just like since the early days, kids used to hit me up all the time. I want to be a world champion, whatever. And that was like the highest level, right? Now we have Sheffield, which is a level beyond that. Now we have the World Games coming up for the first time ever. And I would like to think that the work that we all put in the last decade is really helping us get there. Help that become a reality. And those are the things that fire me up. Every time you take a world record, there's a good amount of world records that stand right now that are FLEXX. And that really excites me. That fires me up. You know, pushing those limits, that's always what I chased after. And that kind of took care of business. That handled business. Of course, you have to have the ability. You have to have a little bit of luck. You have to be able to get there. You have to be able to do it. You have to be passionate about it. I have kind of like a unique way of doing things. I really just try to focus on what matters. I don't try to, like, I know, like, you can say things to confuse people and try to sound smart, or you can just, like, get results. And I always just thought that if you got the results, you know, that would handle business. Also, I mean, I speak very naturally, right? I don't try to use like big words or, you know, complicate things. I focus on what I'm good at. And that usually, you know, that takes care of business. So I know that was like kind of a long-winded answer, but I keep getting like questions about becoming a coach. And this person asking about like, oh, if I don't have like powerlifting background, can I do it? Like I said, if you have something special, granted, the situation that I gave you guys, that was me seeing something special in someone else, saying, I know that I could help this person. I just got to put them in the right position and they can run with it. It's hard. I mean, also like, it's very hard to get, also you have to be passionate for like teaching and coaching. You have to be patient with people. You have to deal with lots of different types of personalities. I saw the way that my brother handled parents, right? That's always something. You gotta deal with parents, you gotta deal with, you know, the formal aspects of being in the education system. And he just did really well. And like I said, I think if you have the something special that you can give to somebody else, then I think it's just a matter of time. If you're passionate about powerlifting and you put in the work, you can do it. But it is a long game. It might be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, whatever, before you really like break out. And don't drop everything to do it, you know? You gotta still be able to support yourself. But that goes with like anything. And I think this advice applies to everything. It's not just like coaching, but let's say you wanted to be, you know, I don't know, you wanted a position and a job as a leader in some aspect, or in a company, and you really had a skill that you knew was valuable, then, I mean, you just got to refine that skill, right? Or maybe you had a skill that's valuable to the company, but you don't really know how the company works. Well, they could teach you all that stuff, right? And you can use that skill, the gifts that you have, to become an asset to that company. Anyway, 20-minute video. Thanks for going on my walk with me. I hope you guys are doing good. I don't even know how clear this message is going to come across, but if you made it to the end, let me get a hashtag real one in the comments down below. See you in the next one. Peace.